Welcome to Right There With You, where we lean into life's biggest questions, challenge what we think we know, and discover the strength we've had all along.
This is my friend and co-host, Ciarra Jones, theologian and lifelong explorer of faith, identity, and purpose.
And say hello to my co-host and buddy, Cass Cooper, a professional chaos whisperer who loves untangling the complexities of human relationships.
Here we embrace the journey, no matter how uncertainty or transformative it gets.
And no matter where you are on yours, we're right there with you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pod. It's Cass here. I'm doing a solo episode this week. I'm so excited, but also a little nervous because, Ciarra and I work really well together, and we've been doing this for a few months, and it just is really fun to do a project like this with your friend. We both agreed that this would be a really good opportunity for me to kind of have some solo one-on-one time with you, our people out there in the ether. I'm talking about something a little bit personal, so I want to make sure that I have your undivided attention, but also am able to just lean into my story. So we're going to talk about the price of peace. We're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to talk about bank accounts. And more specifically, we're going to talk about my divorce. So they say it's cheaper to keep him, but cheaper for whom exactly? Definitely not for me. I was married for a decade. I got married when I was 30, and my divorce was finalized when I was 41. So, and were together for a very long time. We were together for 12 years. And I was 28 when I met him. And yes, him, I was married to a man. And it was great for what I thought I wanted. And then my divorce cost me about 3 years of my life and roughly $60,000. And I would pay it all again because that's the real cost of staying in my peace. Like I said, my name is Cass. I'm the Chaos Whisperer. And, I just wanted to share some of these lessons that every woman who works, leads, or loves needs to hear, because this story isn't really just about my divorce. It's about all the things that I learned leading up to it, all the things that I've learned during, and all the things that I continue to learn now after. It's about how we as women, whether we are queer or straight or somewhere on the spectrum of those things, we're taught to sacrifice our peace for stability. And, this episode is about what happens when we finally stop doing that. So let's whisper about the price of peace and the freedom that follows you when you decide to pay it. When my marriage ended, I did what a lot of women do. I prepared myself for the emotional toll. I leaned on my friends. I listened to podcasts. I read books about how to survive divorce. And I even made sure that my tiny human that I am raising had therapy so she could also process everything, because the changes weren't just happening to me, they were happening to her life as well. What I did not properly prepare for was the financial fallout. Legal fees stocked up month after month. Personal loans became a lifeline, and bills that never used to be mine were now mine alone. Not saying that he paid all the bills, because that was not the case. I'm saying that there were financial costs that I just did not know that I needed to be aware of that became suddenly all on my shoulders. And there's a ripple effect here. The things that I hadn't even considered became more and more debt, and I realized things that I hadn't expected. I thought that I was just leaving a marriage, but the truth was I was stepping into years and years of financial recovery. So this summer, I had the pleasure, and if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I made a bold announcement that I finally made my final payment to my attorney after 3 years and $60,000. Understood that it wasn't just about money. It was about control. It was about access to freedom and access to me. And somewhere in that process, I realized that the only true hero in my story is me. No one is coming to save me. I have to work really hard to make sure that I'm taken care of and that I save myself. So my question for you is, what has peace cost you lately, either financially, emotionally, or spiritually? And is it worth it? All right. Now, let me bring you to something I didn't have the language for at the time, and it was that I was in a financially abusive relationship. It didn't look like you see in movies or in books. There was no shouting. There was limited ultimatums. It looked a lot like silence. It looked like being told that I'll handle it by my now ex-husband. It looked like not having access to passwords, not knowing which bills were current or late. It looked like me being made to feel irresponsible or dramatic for asking questions about money and making it about trusting or not trusting him rather than me trying to safeguard not just my future, but the future of our child. And that's the thing about financial abuse. It hides under the guise of protection and self preservation. And for a long time, I really believed that lie because I was honestly taught to. I was raised in a world that, like a lot of us, that were told that being a good woman means being agreeable, that being peaceful meant being quiet and not disrupting the peace of your male partner, that being faithful meant staying silent even when you're hurting. And honestly, religion has a lot to do with that. The church I grew up in, it talked about submission as a virtue, but never about partnership and power. It taught us to pray for strength to endure, not having the courage to leave. And when you combine that with gender expectations, especially for Black women, it's a very dangerous combination. We're told to be strong and to hold it all together, to fix what's broken, even when it's breaking us. We're really expected to be the glue, the backbone, the silence in the storm, the anchor by which everyone else ties their ship to. And no one tells you that that strength without boundaries actually is not at all helpful. It becomes a cage. And when I left, I wasn't just leaving a marriage, I was leaving a theology of self sacrifice. And I really had to unlearn, and I'm still unlearning, honestly, that peace means pretending. So, my question for you here: what have you been taught to tolerate in the name of peace, in the name of love, in the name of faith that is actually costing your sense of self? So here's where the personal meets the systemic. It wouldn't be me if we didn't have a little bit of data. The numbers tell us that women's household incomes drop by about 41% after divorce. That's nearly double that of what men experience. Of course, this is based on heteronormative relationships, but we can also think about the way in which someone who is maybe financially not as secure in the relationship or does not have control over the purse strings, how that becomes a problematic dynamic. So once again, the numbers tell us that women's household incomes drop from about 41% after divorce. That's nearly double what men experience. For women over 50, that standard of living falls by 45%. So they are having almost 50% decrease in their standard of living. 1 in 5 divorced mothers falls into poverty within 1 year of their divorce. So we love to say that it's cheaper to keep him, but cheaper for who? Because the emotional cost of staying is also harmful, and the economy of and the economic penalty of leaving, it both falls squarely on women. And it's not just a personal issue, it's a leadership issue, it's a workforce issue, because how can we build inclusive, innovative spaces that are freeing for women while we're leaving them to recover financially, emotionally, spiritually from the systems that undervalue them? So here's what divorce taught me about peace and performance. They're linked, right? When I started setting boundaries at home, I realized that I had been neglecting myself and neglecting those boundaries at work. I was saying yes to everything, every new project, every last minute request, every person who wanted just a few minutes because I wanted to be liked and appreciated and needed, all the things that I was not getting inside of my marriage. And the truth is, every unnecessary yes was costing me peace and productivity at work. Now, I like to protect my time because time is money, as they say. Now I delegate, I automate, I negotiate differently. And the biggest shift is I don't confuse people pleasing with professionalism. Boundaries are not barriers, they are roadmaps. They show people how to treat you. Burnout is not a badge of honor. That is a bill that is yet to be paid, literally by your blood, sweat, and tears. Your body will pay that bill eventually. The body will pay the invoice when your boundaries are well overdue. At work, I apply these lessons every day. I set expectations early. I advocate for equitable pay, not just for me, but for other women. And I lead with empathy and self-respect because one without the other leads to true chaos. So me as a chaos whisperer, you know that I believe the goal isn't to avoid chaos. It's to use it as an indicator that something else is going on, something else is amiss. And we have to be able to calm the chaos within in order to do better in our lives. So I'm going to leave you with 3 whispers to chaos that I want you to carry into the week. Whenever you're listening to this, wherever you decide that you want to utilize this, I highly suggest taking some time to think about these 3 things. The number one thing I want you to start is talk about money. Talk about money. Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it with your partner. Talk about it with your manager. Silence is expensive. Second, protect your assets. Protect your time as an asset because, as we said, time is money. But protect your assets in love and in leadership. Your autonomy is your freedom, and it's the foundation by which you're going to thrive. Third, know your worth. Negotiation isn't greed, it's survival, and survival is sacred. Like I said, divorce cost me more than a few pennies, but every dollar I spent leaving was an investment in myself. It brought me peace, it brought me freedom, it brought me autonomy to rebuild a life that is mine. Now, don't get it twisted. I still expect to get paid fair market value for my work because I know what my worth is and more. What's Fat Joe say? Yesterday's price is not today's price. Or as some people say, know your value and then double it and then add tax. The reality is this. When we know better, we're able to do better. And now that you know that peace isn't free, that boundaries aren't optional, and your worth is not up for debate, I just want to make sure that you know that I am right here with you. I'm Cass. I'm the Chaos Whisperer. And I'm so glad that you joined me because me and Ciarra are right there with you.
If today's conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more people find this space of exploration and connection.
And if you want to go even deeper, support us on Patreon. Your membership helps us keep these conversations going and gives you exclusive access to great content.
Because this isn't just a podcast, it's a community. And no matter where you are on your journey,
we're right there with you.